I've mentioned it before in the podcast. A trainer once told me, like, because they were taking pictures and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this, and he was like, just get really good at decoying, all your pictures are gonna be good. Like, there's not going to be one bad picture because you know what you're doing. Like, you're moving the right way. Like, people will be able to see through that picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, that you know what you're doing. And you can kind of see almost when it's set up and when it's not set up. And I was like, dang, I never thought about it. But it's the same thing with dog training. Like, you're just going to get good with practice. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be ugly at times, but you're going to get good at eventually all your videos with Slim are going to look pretty dope. Yep. All your videos with with Q or with player P are gonna look pretty dope. All your videos with Leela are gonna look pretty dope because you've put in the work for it to look that way. Mm-hmm. And so and even with Moses right now, like, I'm in such an awkward stage with him that I feel like this isn't, I shouldn't even post. Like, why am I gonna be filming this? You know what I mean? It looks ugly, but I know that he's 7 months, and at a year old, like I've told pretty much everybody that trains with me, at a year old, it'll somehow come together, and then you can get better content and whatnot.
This that go and get it with no hesitation. This that never quit. Start that elevation. This that process. This that innovation.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Elevated K9 Podcast. And today I am here with my co-host,
Roel Guerra.
And we got my guy,
Chris Sykes.
And my guy,
Shane Murray.
Chris Sykes, Roel, and hopefully we could drop some knowledge today, and something that you guys can benefit from. As you guys know, we don't make no money off this, so if you could subscribe to our channel or share, or let us know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like, it would be appreciated. So, anyways, Roel, what's up with you, bro? How you been? Everything good?
Sweating right now.
Anything new? I know Roel is our guy. He's the one that sets everything up, so he was, moving things around. He's sweating a little bit, but it's okay.
Sweating.
It's good. Anything new?
No, nothing's new. Things are good. My girl Leela is away at a boarding train right now with Chris Sykes.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. We'll call it a boarding train, but other than that, things are
hopefully
looking good right now.
maybe we'll have some American Pit Bull Terrier puppies.
Yes, sir.
Some really nice ones.
So, so we'll see what's up. Shane, what's up with you, bro? Anything new?
Nah, same old, bro.
Grinding it out,
staying busy. That's all we could really ask for. Just stay busy, keep working.
Yep.
I'm okay with that, man.
What's up with you, Chris?
Still trying to perfect the focus here.
That's cool.
That's about it.
So Chris and I, we made a bet earlier today because he's trying to get his dog to stop jumping in the heel position, and we said a month. So we said in a month, if he can't get it, I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna get paid for sure.
I'll make sure that don't happen. But.
No, it's gonna happen. I'm telling you right now. But anyways, other than that, anything else new? You good?
No, nothing else new.
In the last episode, we're still making some changes and stuff, and people said that Chris looked like he was about to get beat up, asking him to blink twice. Just letting you guys know that is not the case. He would probably beat both of us up.
I'm gonna smile today.
So, anyways. Today I did want to talk a little bit about since we got all of us here got at least 10,000 followers at least. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to. No, I'm just like seven. No, Chris don't have them yet, bro. We gotta get Chris there, guys.
If he posted, he would.
Yeah, let's get Chris up to 10,000 at least so he could have a subscription section.
And this is just a PSA to everybody out there. If you do something, any type of hobby, if you have any sort of niche, fucking record it and post it. Whatever it is, it does not matter. Like, a lot of people think that the notoriety in TikTok and Instagram is luck. That shit ain't luck. It's just consistency.
Yep.
You just post and post and post, and whatever your niche is, I guarantee you, if you post enough, it's gonna go.
Yep.
People don't post, and especially a guy like Chris right here. This motherfucker knows more than dog training than I'll probably ever know in my short time, right? But I have more notoriety. Why? I just post more. But if he posted a lot, he would, his shit is fucking like, his shit is nice to watch. It's really amazing to see. But that's just a PSA to all y'all out there, man. Post your shit.
Yeah, the video that got me all my followers was a video of him.
That's funny.
I don't know.
One shot.
Yeah, bro.
That's funny.
I mean, but I think that there is a misconception about like social media too, though. Like, people think that because you have a bunch of followers that automatically means that you're going to be making some sort of beneficial gain from the following, and it doesn't work that way. I think it depends on how you put out your content, right? Like for you, it's different than like what I've been doing. Well, I recently started to change it, but like, so if you have a video like Roel's that takes off and you get a bunch of followers, is it consistent followers that keep checking in on you? Probably not. No. It's like a one-time hit and they follow and that's it. So, but for example, for you, that you put consistently putting out tips and, you know, training content and whatnot, you know, it's more loyal followers that, you know, in those you could actually get something out of as far as like, you know, business goes and all that. But you have to give in order to receive at some point, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I have a lot of like highlight videos and all that stuff, so which has gotten my subscribers up. I mean, my followers up. But again, it's like, it's only the content where you're actually helping people out that are going to benefit them, where they're actually going to become like loyal followers or whatever.
Yeah. No, there's definitely I see a lot of people. I like to call it Hollywood. A lot of people are too Hollywood, where they try too hard, with their content, right? So if you train your dog once a day, like the thing is, you never know what's gonna go. Right. I've had so many videos where I'm like, this shit is, I fucking turned into Steven Spielberg on this shit. It's gonna come out nice, and it barely goes.
Yeah.
So you don't ever know what's going to go, which is where consistency in posting comes in. And then sometimes it just happens. But I think a lot of people get too Hollywood about it. A lot of people, they have fucking 10 cameras, an editor, and all this shit. But most people want average everyday help.
Right.
And like when they see some of that shit, like some of it's intimidating. Like you said, sometimes there's a false perception over people with a bunch of followers and things like that. And so, I mean, I guess all I can really say is be organic. Right? Don't try to be like nobody else. Everybody's got their own little special thing that kind of interests people, and you ain't going to find that shit if you're trying to post content like Shane or post content like Chris, right? You got to just do your organic shit and post the content, and with organic content comes organic followers. Right. It comes to people who truly care about like what you're teaching and what you're doing, you know? So there's always a balance, you know? You post your highlight video, you know, doing some cool focused heel shit, but then I post a little tip on like, okay, here's a common problem I see with a lot of people in their heel, and this is something you could fix.
Right.
And that it helps people, man. Once you help people, that's where you get that loyal to the soil, you know, they're really with you.
Chris, what is like one of the hardest things for you, like as far as like, you know, social media goes and all that?
I would say I just don't. You might see something that you like, and I might not like it. So if it's not perfect, I don't prefer to post it.
Right.
If it's not up to my standard, I don't like to post it, which our standard is a lot higher probably than the average person. But if it don't look clean,
you don't want to post it.
Not
it ain't
post
gonna be
it.
seen.
Yeah, it's not gonna be seen.
But I think that's what
he keeps rhyming over here.
Hey, the microphone turns me into a rapper, bro.
Hey, but with that comes like you always wanting to show your wins, and I feel like some of the like followers want to see like the actual mistakes. Like for example, for example, you working on you know, him not hopping in the heel, you know, that's gonna make me, you know, $1,000. People might want to see that process. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
They might want to see that process, because what if you do fix it, which you might fix it.
You guys are gonna see a whole little song.
But anyway, but you know, but if you could show that progress of like, hey, this is what it's looking like, and little by little, this is what I'm trying to do, and you might gain some people who are like, yo, I'm interested in actually seeing this process, and that might actually work. Which, you know, and a lot of people are just wanting to post, which I'm one of them. We want to post our highlight reels. You know what I'm saying? And I think that you could benefit from like, yo, it looks ugly sometimes, a lot of the time, but then at the end it turns out okay, you know, with putting enough work.
Yep.
Yeah, I think transparency is something that's missing on social media.
Yeah,
and
total.
when we are transparent, it seems like you know the people who put you on this pedestal, they feel like they can relate to you just a little bit more because they're going through the same problems with their dogs that we might be going through with our dogs. So
Right.
it's just something to think about, I guess.
It's a legit thing, bro. And anytime I post, you know, mistakes I've made and shit like that, people really level with it, and they're like, oh, okay, you're fucking.
It happens to you. Yeah, it happens to you too.
I get those comments all the time. Like, man, I feel refreshed seeing this to know that someone else has
Right.
these same issues, even though you are a dog trainer, yada yada. Like, I seen it with you and Guapo one time. I seen you recall Guapo like we were just out here. You recalled him like 3 times, and I was like, this motherfucker, he don't listen to Oscar sometimes?
Yeah.
And that even, like, for me, I was like, you know, that because sometimes Zeus does that
It's normal,
shit.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? That kind of takes a little pressure off. And
Yep.
the transparency is what helps you, like you said, it connects you with the people where they're like, oh, you're human too. Right. You
Right.
fuck up too.
So Shane, what are some of the things that that you would tell other dog trainers or people that are aspiring dog trainers to watch out for when you get hooked with social media? Because I feel like it could put you down, man. Like it's almost like it gives you a high that when you don't get the views that you thought you were gonna get and all that, it'll kind of make you feel bad about yourself and shit. So what are some things that you would tell people to watch out for that have happened to you, like from experience?
I would say don't post with the intent on trying to go viral, because then you set yourself up for an expectation that may never come, right? Post shit that you like to post. Like, if none of my shit goes viral, but I'm posting it, it doesn't really bother me too much because I like that video. And I wanted to post that video. That's why I posted that video. I didn't post that video so I get followers. I posted that video because I liked what I did there, or I didn't like what I did there, and I want to show you guys how I could have fixed it or something like that. So I think people post with an intention of having a perfect video, and it's going to do super well, and that's never the case.
never.
Right? So I think your expectation when you're posting really, really helps your mindset out. And then on the flip side of that, people watching the stuff we're posting, they may get intimidated by, seeing Chris's badass focus here. Like, there's fucking nothing wrong with that. That shit's perfect,
Right.
But the way I see that, it's a mindset thing. So depending on where you're at in your head, that's how you're going to look at it. So when I see Chris post shit where I'm like, that's fucking tight, that motivates me. That's where, like, okay, I want to do that with my dog. And I want to get my dog to be able to do exactly what I just saw. But then on the flip side, if you're not in that mindset, that's where people could get a little bit turned down when they see it and like, man, I wish my dog could do that.
Yep.
My dog can never do that. And I think that mindset is what sets you up, right away. You'll never see, like you hear it all the time, you never see successful, happy people talking bad about others.
Right.
Because they already got the sauce, right? They already feel it in here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Get y'all shit together. That's what you just said.
Well, I remember I met up with Chris once, and I was like, "Hey, Chris, I have this video in mind that I know is gonna go." Remember the one with Benny with the hand touch? And I was like, "I know it's gonna go because I could feel it. Like I could almost like manifest that thing. I was like, Chris, this is gonna go, bro." And I was like, "Shoot this way, shoot this way, shoot this way," and I cut it up into like a 40-second reel, and it just like took off, But I went in there with knowing what I was gonna do, and I feel like a lot of us, we go into like our training sessions not knowing what we're gonna do, and we're all over the place, and we wanted to come out with some good content, but we don't because we're all over the place. So I do think that if you plan out your sessions and you just video yourself, I think something good could come out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Instead of just like, oh, I'm just gonna shoot some cool shit and post it, and that's it.
Do you plan out your sessions?
It depends on the day, to be honest.
Right.
I think I train better when I'm by myself. If I get into a zone, I just like to work on what I like to do, because like when I'm with people, I'm more of showing my dog off. I'm not in an actual training session.
That's true.
So when I'm by myself, I feel like I can think and kind of play with things. So I think my mindset's a little different. But like when I film, I think all my shit's gonna hit. I think everything I post is fucking great. So I'm thinking about the angles. I'm thinking about like how it's gonna look. Like I'm spending hours editing one video, wasting a whole lot of time.
I'll take some credit for that.
Yeah, I definitely got like my vision stuff from him. But so when it doesn't hit for me and I post it, I'm like, damn. Yeah, fuck this. I'm gonna just go ahead and not record the next one. But yeah, I do vision it out. But
I think consistency is key, man. Like I remember you did a live once where like you were showing your training session, and I guarantee you that will take off if you were just like do it every other day, or or you had a set date of like, this is when I'm gonna do it, and because people want to learn and they want to see that process that you were showing there, but sometimes we just get like discouraged, like, damn, nothing happened there, and I feel like that's when I think social media becomes a little dangerous. I've mentioned it before in the podcast. A trainer once told me, like, because they were taking pictures and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this, and he was like, just get really good at decoying, all your pictures are gonna be good. Like, there's not gonna be one bad picture because you know what you're doing. Like, you're moving the right way. Like, people will be able to see through that picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, that you know what you're doing. And you can kind of see almost when it's set up and when it's not set up. And I was like, dang, I never thought about it. But it's the same thing with dog training. Like, you're just gonna get good with practice. And it's going to be ugly at times, but you're going to get good at eventually all your videos with Slim are going to look pretty dope. Yeah. All your videos with, with Q or with player P are going to look pretty dope. All your videos with Leela are going to look pretty dope because you've put in the work for it to look that way. And so, and even with Moses right now, like, I'm in such an awkward stage with him that I feel like this isn't, I shouldn't even post. Like, why am I going to be filming this? You know what I mean? It looks ugly, but I know that he's 7 months, and at a year old, like I've told pretty much everybody that trains with me, at a year old, it'll somehow come together, and then you can get better content and whatnot.
For me, as somebody behind the lens, it's kind of dope, huh? Behind the lens.
Yeah.
Roel's cut.
It's dope. Well, it's cool to see because it's true. Like, the shots that look the best are the ones that you're not thinking about, right? The ones that I'm just getting, you're catching the dog, or you're catching the dog, or you're smiling, right? Or you don't even know what I was recording.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I like to put into the film. And as far as the younger dogs are concerned, it may not look the greatest, but I know that I'm going to be filming this dog 6 months from now, and you're going to have something to look back to and compare it with. So for me, like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, you sent me a video. I took some videos of you, and you're like, man, you made this session look halfway decent. Yeah. To you, it didn't look great. To me, it looked good enough, right? And I think the video came out dope. And obviously, like, for me, it doesn't matter if the video hits or not. I like the process of making the video, and then people watching it. For me, I get it. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
But that he's not the same dog he was 6 months ago. You know what I mean? And it's just gonna get better and better. But you're right. The sessions, the videos where it's not me directing or telling people how to pose for pictures and stuff like that, those come out the best.
Natural.
Yeah. Yep. Natural. The candid stuff.
Yep. And I do feel like a lot of dog trainers now, it's like a trend. Like, they get stuck really wanting to be like on camera. And I get it. Like, you want to be on camera, you want to get good, you want to get followers, but they're like at the very beginning and already literally just copying what the other guy has said. And I feel like that's not really, like, I could just tell when it's not you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not the guy that actually like came up with this, and you're literally like copying what somebody else is saying. Now, I get it. Like, you're going to be learning, but you don't have to film everything in the beginning. Like, when you're learning, like, just get really good and then start posting little by little, or be open about it. Like, that's why from the beginning I respected Shane, because I was like, he's pretty open about like, yo, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get better, and I'm bringing you guys along for the ride. If you guys want to, watch, cool. If you don't, it is what it is. It's not for you. You know what I'm saying? But I do feel like a lot of trainers get stuck on that. Like, I want to be known. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. No, that's just the tough part with social media nowadays. Like, back in your day, bro, how many videos?
Damn, bro, it's like that.
That's the first thing that I thought of when he said that. Back in your day.
Damn.
Hey, but
nah, but you know what I mean, dog. You've been training for a minute. Back in the day, how many fucking IGP routines you see people posting on Facebook?
So back in the day, you would see it Facebook, but it was definitely not like the content that we're seeing today. Right. But like, my content was like YouTube. I would watch videos on YouTube from Europe, and they'd add music and all that. But definitely not like short form content that we're seeing today, which honestly, bro, I enjoyed. I really feel like I learned a lot more from that sort of content, because it was like long videos.
Yeah.
So even now I have like saved videos on my YouTube that I go back to, and I'm like, dang, that was actually dope. Like, right now, that video would like go, like, it would benefit a lot of people. But but it was a different type of content than we have right now. It's like short hits.
Well, that's
you know,
what we've been trained to enjoy.
Yeah, and that's what I don't like about social media is you put all this work and technique into the training, and then you're just trying to post what looks flashy and quick clips. So for me, it was hard in the beginning learning how to edit because I'm like, oh, this looks dope, and I want like every part of the focus hill, every part of the fast down in motion, and then you would tell me like, man, ain't nobody gonna watch this shit. It's like this long video, so it's like you'll lose people's attention if the clips are too long. But like I feel like what you should be seeing and what you would learn from is gonna come from a lot longer clip, and I'm sure you could tell who knows what they're doing when you actually start to see a full training session versus just a clip to look cool. So that's like one of the biggest things for me, not wanting to post or kind of like taking so long to edit, because I know from my eyes, like if someone else is a trainer and they see this, then they're gonna know what I'm doing. Like if you pay attention, it's all in the train. Like if you pay attention to the training, you can see what someone's fixing if you're knowledgeable about it.
Right.
But in a short clip, it gives you the perception that we're just great, but it's just not what it is.
The case.
Yeah, and that's another thing I want to put out there, man. Like somebody told me last time, like, hey, what can I do to be to your level? I'm like, I mean, I'm not that, like, in my eyes, I'm not that good. I just work a lot. Like, I really enjoy training. I love it. And so I just train a lot, and eventually it all comes together, and that's what you guys see. But like anybody could do it, you know? Anybody could. I feel like anybody could do it if they put the work in. Bro, Zeus is your first dog.
Yeah, I was about to say, bro. I've only been doing
And
this shit,
he looks good.
like
you know,
3 years, bro. 3.5 years. You know, I've
Yeah.
been doing that. That's nothing compared to you. Nothing compared to you. I don't know how long you've been training
About
for.
the same,
but,
yeah.
But nothing
About the
compared to you guys, right? And people tell me that same shit. How do I get to you? I'm like, man, I'm still fucking trying to level up.
but like, and so people need to understand, like, that's how it is. Like, you just put in work.
But
with your dog.
at the same time, that's how quickly you can also progress, right? Like I said, I've only been doing it for 3.5 years, and I have decent looking dogs who, you know, look like I've been doing it for some time. But when you truly dedicate yourself, and I'll admit part of it's a little bit of an obsession for me. Like, I want my dog to be the best fucking dog they can be. But that's how quickly you could progress when you have the vision and when you have the drive, and more importantly, when you got people around you to fucking motivate you, right? Like, I was stagnant before I met you guys. I was like, yeah, my bully, he heals pretty well.
Yep.
He'll bite, da-da-da. But then I see y'all dogs, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's the, I was like, that's the next step for me. That's how I want my dog to be.
Yep.
You know, but you could progress quickly if you're around the right people. And like when it comes to, okay, how do I be great? I mean, just be great today. Think about, okay, what can I do today to make me and my dog great, and do that shit today, and then
Yep.
do that the next day, and the next day. And I guarantee you, you're gonna wake up in 5 years and be like, holy shit.
Yep.
You know, how did I get here? You know, it's a crazy good feeling, you guys.
Yeah. But look at Slim, bro. Like, at our last training session, we started putting more things together, like little pictures that he hasn't seen like that much, you know? And you're just like, dang, like, how old is he right now?
13 months.
So he's 13 months, and we're putting these things together. And now I go, look, that's why it benefited that I told that, you know, I worked with Shane. I was like, Shane, let's work on obedience. Like, do obedience because I know this dog's going to have it. Like, let's just, and now, like, I'm like, oh, we could actually do that much with a 13-month-old. It doesn't mean he's even close to being done, or, you know, he's barely getting started, but you see all the little pieces start connecting with each other, and you're like, dang. It, like, you know, now, like last time I told you, I was like, then we have sessions, we just build them up, because I know you have your obedience there, and the dog understands it.
When would you say that perspective kind of switched for you, right? Because I know that's not like how a lot of people view dogs, like work the dog, build drive, add in obedience later. So when would you say that perspective kind of shifted for you? Or if it was
For
ever like
for
that?
me, it shifted when I started having a hard time controlling my dog.
Yeah.
When I already know that it's coming. I'm like, yo, this, just imagine if you didn't put all those reps
it'd be a
doing all
nightmare,
that,
bro.
it would be like we would have to overly correct the dog. So it doesn't mean that you're not correcting the dog right now, but we would like literally have to be beating the dog up. And you see it all the time with people that are more focused on bite work and doing all that, which is fine. I mean, if you want that, cool. But you'll see it that in their obedience, then there's like a disconnect, like, yo, you've let me do this for so long, and now you want me to stay here next to you, so you're beating me up to stay here. And so you see that obedience level is not going to be as high. And that's cool, because some people want, they just want to compete at the bottom, and they're fine with that. But I know that Shane was like, yo, I want to go to the top, bro. Like, I want to compete at the top. I'm like, bro, if you're going to be at the top, then you got to start training. Like, I didn't make that up. I got it from other people that were already doing it before me, So I just try to pass along what I knew from experience with Guapo and from other people. You know what I'm saying? And I know with Player too, like, you've taken your time with him. It's not like you've rushed him to compete and everything, but when he competed, he looked amazing.
Yeah. You've been a big inspiration for me, dog. When I see your dog, like, I remember seeing him back when I first saw him. I'm like, man, I fucking even told this fella, I was like, man, I want my dog to be like that. But that's the fucking sauce that drives you, and that's what makes me fucking get obsessed and work on my focus heal so much, where I'm like, all right, now I want it to be better than your dog. Now I want my shit to be cleaner than your dog. You know what I mean?
For sure. But appreciate it.
And I think that's what, and it's all for me. It's like friendly competition.
Absolutely.
It's like, I already know that I'm gonna get to a point with Moses that if we're all competing in the same, I'm gonna be happy if you win, but I'm gonna try to beat you. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd expect nothing less, man.
I mean, I'm gonna try to beat you no matter what, but I feel like that's what's needed, And sometimes I mess up, man, because I feel like I feel like others feel like I'm judgmental towards them, but it's more so because I see more in them. You know what I'm saying? So I'd be like, bro, that looked like shit, bro. Like, you could have done
a lot.
like, bro, you could do way more. You could do way more with that dog, like, with your skill, with everything. Like, bro, go do more with that dog. You know what I'm saying?
If I had that dog, it's that one.
It's different.
If I had a Malinois,
If that was my dog,
It's different because you know the process. So after you've done it with quite a few dogs, you kind of know how to get there and what it takes to get there. So when you can see someone else, like, they have the pieces together, but they're just not thinking outside of the box, or they're not putting in the extra amount of work that they could be, or, taking advice because they just think it's already finished, then it bothers you. And then you can, like, call it out. So it might seem like you might be hating on someone, but it's like, no, I can see it because I know the pieces that go together to create the puzzle. It's nothing to do with hate. And then there's another thing. You're training a specific dog, and say you do it with one dog, and then you go into different breeds and you start working with different personalities. Every dog's going to have a different personality, and not everything's going to work for the same dogs or for different dogs. So once you start raising different dogs and you have that experience, then you're able to get the eye for, like, what's going to work, what's not going to work. So, like, sometimes I'll tell Oscar, like, oh, if I do this, then it's going to create this, and I'm going to be able to fix this. And he's just sitting there like, nah. He just did that downstairs right now. He's like, nah. And instead of me being, like, stubborn about it and being like, oh, I'm not listening to him, I'm going to keep doing it. And I am going to keep doing it. But then I asked him, I said, it is going to work. And then I corrected myself and I say, why don't you think it's going to work? What do you see that's not going to make it work? And then he broke it down to me, and I'm like, okay, like, now I understand, because he's above me in that level. He's done more than me, and he can see shit that I can't see. So it's always, like you said earlier, it's good to have people around you that know what they're doing and on a higher level. That way you can correct yourself and go back and fix those things, or just be open-minded. So
now, I could be wrong with that, though. You know what I'm saying? And you could prove me wrong, and then I'm learning, because even down there, I'm always asking him, why are you doing that? Or we were working with Slim, and I asked Chris, or Chris suggested to do something, and I said, why? It's not because I'm challenging him, because it's because I want to know what's the thought behind it. And then when he explains it and it makes sense, I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right about that. I think it was about tossing food instead of the toy. And it was because, the dog is going to get higher arousal level with tossing the food, but still not as high as the toy. And it makes sense to me. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm always learning too. With Chris's dog downstairs right now, we're working. I was like, what did you mark? Because he's in his mind, he's saying, if I mark the correct behavior, then we're gonna get what we want. The right healing. And I was like, well, what do you mark? And he went back over there and he said, I marked 2 paws being on the ground. I said, okay, so then that's not the actual behavior that you're trying to get. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, it's just me thinking out loud with him, and I feel I'm in a safe place where I could do that. If I go to somebody's training, and I see them training, and I feel like they're doing something wrong, I'm not going to call it out. I'm just going to stay quiet, watch them, and that's it. But if I'm in a space where, like Shane or Chris or Ro, where I'm like, I could say something here, I'm going to say it. and you know, and hopefully they could receive it and not the wrong way, which I feel pretty good with us, you know. But
Yeah, I've never taken it the wrong way.
Oh man. Oh, we need to put that clip of that video right there.
Hell no.
You'll never forget it. You'll never forget it.
I was just hungry.
Yeah. But anyway, we kind of diverted a little bit from the social media spot, but but anyways, yeah, so back to
Well, I mean, along the lines with that, I kind of connect it. So like about like having great content and good stuff like that. Like the biggest thing, and I haven't been around a lot of working dog stuff, right? Slim's my first working dog, but like I could, in pet dog terms, I could always tell my best clients are the ones who always ask me a bunch of questions.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of a little universal, right? Like I'm sure you've seen a bunch of trainers where you're like, you're gonna be good.
Yep.
Because you see them asking questions and they're open-minded, right? I didn't invent none of this shit.
Right.
Took it from you. I took it from you. Right? I didn't invent none of this shit. I think the more open-minded you are and the more questions you ask, the better you get at everything.
Yep.
Fucking everything. But if you're closed-minded, if you take it personally, you're gonna crumble. You're gonna crumble. So be very open-minded with shit, and that's gonna create doors to better content, better training, new information, so much shit.
Yeah, you're going to be able to help more people because you're open to
Yep.
receiving that, so you're going to be able to give it. But if you're closed-minded, you're literally going to be blocked in a box that you can't really share.
Yep.
You're literally going to share only the things you know. You're not growing anymore. You know, and I feel like it's good to ask questions in a non-condescending way sometimes
Yeah,
too. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because I do
tone.
feel like a lot of people, I've gotten it a couple. Why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. Well, just because your trainer that you're working with said that does not mean it's 100% right. Like go out and, you know, figure out why, and if it makes sense to you, cool. If it doesn't, cool. But it doesn't mean that you're gonna be out there telling everybody what, like, nah, you're doing it. I'm not that guy. I see it all the time. Like, nah, you're messing up. You're rewarding the wrong thing, or you're doing it this way, and it's like, for what? Like, you're not gonna gain anything from that. You know what I'm saying? Sure. But you will gain something from going, hey, why did you do that? And feel free to send me a DM on that. You don't have to explain it here.
Right.
That reminds me, I've been seeing like a lot of people that are doing like, they heel and they always spin the dog. So everyone's getting into this thing where it's like they want to spin the dog. And for the most part, I feel like it's just to look cool. So I'll go, why'd you spin? Or why do you always spin the dog? Like, what's the reason? Oh, that's just the break. And that's cool. But when I was traveling with Kelly Cano and Chris and Christian, they spin the dog to correct the dog. And it's all about positioning. So you could be doing something right. Like you could be teaching a spin and it looks cool. But if you don't understand the concept behind it, then what's the point of it? Because if we're doing it to correct and you're just doing it in place, but it could mess up something you don't even understand what you're doing. So you could spin them and it can cause the dog's energy to go up. You can mess up the prancing. You could start leaking. It's always like a reason why someone's doing it. So it's like, that's why I think it's important to ask because it's not always like, why, like you said, if you come with the mindset like, why are you doing this? Like maybe my reason and your reason are a little different, but if we can collab together, you can make your training a lot better. It's just being open.
Even with the spin, like right now that you got into that, so the spin, it could be for that. So you could so they'll correct the dog and basically like, no, you're not gonna get paid. I'm gonna spin you out, right?
Yeah.
And then I've trained with other people where they'll actually correct the dog like with the e-collar on stim because they don't want to taint the heel position. So they'll make them spin, correct them in the spin, so that you don't taint your heel position. And then I've seen other people, it's like, well, I do it because I'm going to spin him out and pay him behind my back so I could add, a behavior, incompatible behavior to my healing so he doesn't forage a lot. So he feels like he's always going to get paid from behind. So there's a bunch of different reasons and you would use a different one for, each dog. Now that if that's part of your toolbox, you're probably going to use it with all your dogs. But I do feel like that's the new thing, right? You're healing, you make them spin and those are the videos that hit, man. I mean, that's just,
it looks cool, bro.
It looks cool. And it's fine. Do it. Have fun with it. But if you could go deeper into it on why people are doing it, then you're gonna really gain some knowledge.
Yep, I think that's a definite thing. But and then that's again, there's a bad side of social media and a good side, man. You can learn a fuckload just following the right people, man. Like I learned a bunch of stuff on TikTok. From Ed Bro, from force free trainers,
Yep.
from dock diving people, agility trainers. I have learned so much just from following people, and I may not agree with everything they do, but
Yep.
there's always a little hidden gem where I'm like, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I think I could tweak that a little bit to fit it in my training style, right? So the more content you consume, the right content, of course, the more ideas you get, man. The more fire you get, the more things you can learn. And it's a huge benefit to us nowadays.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of accounts that I follow that I'm like, yo, that was some good information right there. And more so, like, even if I do something similar, it's like, oh, I never explained it that way.
Yep.
Oh man, that's good. I'm gonna use that. So definitely take it to your advantage. Use it to your advantage. All right, guys. So we got some questions, and we'll let Shane MC this one.
Have you ever had a difficult client or a dog you couldn't help?
Yes, I have, and it was mostly, it was not necessarily the dog. It was more the owner that didn't want to shift in how they were interacting with the dog. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to help you. And yeah, so then at the end of the day, that's what it was. It was like, nah, they're not really with the plan to actually help this dog. They think that I'm just going to return the machine back, and that is not the case. So I was like, nah, you know what? I'd rather not. And
how did you? So I know a hard time for me was me finally coming to the realization that I can't help every dog. Like, how did you deal with that?
it was when you feel it sometimes, right? It's like intuition, like, nah, I don't think this is a good idea, but you know what? I'm going to take it anyways. And sure enough, it doesn't go right. And it's like, I should have listened to my gut right there, Right. And it's not, it's not a bad thing. I remember I met somebody, I was going to do an eval, and the girl was like, really wanting to work with me, and she had her brother along with her, and the brother started talking about how he was going to train the dog, but he didn't have the time, or something about COVID and and how he was, and he started questioning about, mainly like, I use force free, like, why are you going to use this on the dog? Why are you going to use this? And I said, you know what? You are so stuck in your way of training. I tried to explain, but I felt that this person was so stuck in their way of training that I was like, I told his sister, I said, you know what? I don't think I'm the right trainer for you. Yep. More so because of how I didn't want things to go south with the brother, and then me, not being able to do the best work on this dog where I could show because of how the brother was. Yeah. So I said, you know what? I don't think I'm the trainer for you. And it's okay to pass those people up. At the end of the day, it's only going to benefit you.
Yeah. And so another side note to that, along with the content creating, that's why it's important, you guys, to be transparent in your content and what you do with the dogs, right? I never have any clients come up to me and try to do force-free stuff. Why? Because I show you that I use slip leashes, prong collars, e-collars, right? So I avoid a lot of that just because of how transparent I am in my content and what I do with the dogs and why I do it, okay? If your trainer cannot explain why they want to do what they do, get a different trainer.
Yep.
You should be able to explain exactly why I'm doing this and the exact fallout that may come with it, because there's fallout to every type of training. So your trainer should really know how to explain those things to you before you proceed with them. But all right, this would be a good question for you, Chris. Opinions on off-breeds and mixes. You know about off-breeds.
It depends what it's about though. Like,
let's just say I assume it's bite work. I assume they're talking about for bite work.
Oh, I love off breeds for bite work. I think you just need to find the right person that understands the breed, and you can get the best out of the dogs. I think all the dogs develop different. So I'm not going to train a Malinois the same way I'm going to train a Pit Bull versus the same way I'm going to train a Mastiff. It all has to be different. I think they're capable of doing it with the right genetics and the research to get a breeder that has an off-breed that's going to be a working dog candidate, I would say. But I love them, but they're all different. And like a Pit Bull, you might have to raise a Pit Bull a little bit slower, or you might have to put a little bit more obedience on the Pit Bull at a young age because they can't think as well when they're in a high state of arousal. And it's just learning how to like have someone pick out a good dog for you. And I think that's mainly what it is, knowing what's in front of you or having someone be able to like tell you what this dog's going to turn out to be. And then once you know that, then you can have a game plan. But I think it's important to make sure you know what you're going to do before you get that breed. But I think they're capable of doing anything, any breed. Like we've seen Oscar with nice Corsos. We've seen Shepherds, Malinois, we've seen Pit Bulls, we've seen nice Dobermans, but we've also seen the other side of the breed where you see horrible Corsos, horrible Dobermans, horrible Pit Bulls. It's all about the dog you get, the individual dog.
Yep. And that's a big thing too, you guys. I'm sure you guys get a lot of questions on it. They're like, well, how would this breed do with that? And like, literally, all that matters is the genetics. I get a lot of time with training. They're like, have you ever trained a Vizsla before? I'm like, listen, I get that they have their genetic predispositions, but it's based off of the dog. Like the dog's individual genetics, right? Like, okay, is a pit bull hard to train and bite work? Well, it depends on the dog's genetics.
Sure.
Right? Like, doesn't matter. Like the breed, yes, the breed's one thing, sure, but it truly matters that individual dog's genetics. You know, and it's a little bit different for everybody.
Yep.
What would you say a big difference is? Because you got Q and P.
Yeah, I would say the biggest difference was just time and waiting on Q to develop. It was at times where I was like 8 to 9 months. I didn't like him. I wanted to get rid of him.
I remember that.
I was always messaging like people like, I don't think I like him. I'm not really feeling him. And it's because his drive was so low. But I remember Oscar had Rogan, and Rogan was super high driven as a puppy. But Oscar, instead of like capitalizing on the drive and like building more drive, Oscar slowed it down and did a lot of like stationary stuff. So he would do a lot of stuff where the dog would just sit for a long time and he would just reward, or he would down for a long time or just stand. Everything was so slow and I couldn't understand at the time. And then as I saw the dog developing, I was like, oh shit, he already is going to have the speed. He knows what he has. He already knows what it's going to turn out. And if you would have done it the opposite way and been working on more speed, the dog probably would have been a loose cannon. It would have been too much for that dog, and he would have tipped and went over the top. So for Q, it was the opposite. Or after seeing that, then I was like, okay, what if I don't go for the high drive Malinois? Because that's what I always pick out. I think it has to be the best, the craziest. That's just the way I used to think. And my breeder, Debbie Skinner, would always tell me like you fill out the form and you say like what type of dog you want, and she would kind of like laugh and she would give me the dog I always asked for, but I could never understand like some of the things she would say. And then I'm like, okay, why am I always going for a certain type of dog? And it always causes a certain type of problem later on down the line. So I was like, okay, well, what if I get a medium drive dog or a low to medium drive dog, and then I just build his drive, and then that way when he's adult, maybe he'll just fit in the medium to high category to where it's not too much to where the dog can't think, but it's just enough to where I can control you but still get the behaviors I want and the flashiness I want. Because there's dogs that they have for breeding that they said this dog is a really good breeder, but he will not do good in sport because he's over the top. He doesn't think well under pressure. My thought behind Q was like, let me just get something like lower drive and then build him up over time. And I just stuck to the plan. I didn't like him, but I was like, I'm not getting another dog and get rid of another dog. Like, I've been through that. And I would sell these dogs, and then they would go to another trainer, and then this trainer would make them better within a couple weeks. And I said, okay, this is an inexperience on my behalf. I'm getting rid of nice dogs, and he's tripling the amount of money that I'm selling them to him for. And of course, he's not going to tell me why, but I was like, okay, so it's me. So what can I do? And like, I'm going to wait it out. And if I see problems, I'm going to learn how to fix them. So basically, the biggest difference was taking my time and learning that individual dog, because he could bite already. He was into obedience, but it was more of me finding out what he liked and how to transfer that into building the drive. And now everything's like went from slow to now we're medium to like now I know how to like tap into his drive a little bit to turn him on and play with it. So I would say the difference is just knowing the individual dog and then what works for him.
Yep.
I agree. What about you? Because you got Nacho the Roddy and Lila.
I think it was Oscar who told me, like, you think you have a Roddy, but you have a Malinois. And
let me go back on that, because I mean, I'll let you get back to it, but because I think I've said, I'm sure I've said this before, but I had Wapo and then I got Luca, and some trainer mentioned like, well, you're training it like a Malinois. I'm like, well, it's giving me all the things that my Malinois is giving me, so why would I not train it like that? I mean, if I like the results of my Malinois, why not? Why wouldn't I train Luca the same way? And they would tell, and then once Christian got him, they would tell him the same way. Well, you're listening to Oscar, and he trains a Malinois. He knows, and I'm just like, bro, like, what's the difference? Like, the dog has the crazy drive. Yep. I mean, he has everything that the Malinois has, so why not? And sure enough, like, Christian capitalized on it. So when I saw Nacho, I'm like, bro, this isn't like your normal Rottweiler that you see. This dog has the genetic to compete at a high level, like any Malinois, against any Malinois or German Shepherd.
Yep.
Yeah, his drive is just, and he's a lot more clear headed too than Leela Pitbull.
Yeah.
She was my first dog, and my biggest mistake with her was wanting to do all the crazy shit. And I was inspired by the guys on the East Coast. Shout out to everybody out there with pit bulls doing crazy shit with their dogs. And I was like, man, I want to show them we got some serious bulldogs out here in the West Coast.
He would say that. that was like a big motivator for him.
It really was. And I would say, I was like, hey, we got some bangers out here too, and we do. But now, and you guys have seen it. Now I'm at the point where like, man, she's fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm trying to put all the obedience on her. I'm trying to get her to calm down when there's somebody on the field. There's a decoy on the field, and it's getting there. With Nacho, and it could be a bad thing too for me because, like he picks things up so quick. He learns so quick, but at the same time, and I've seen this with other dogs, herders that have come through just for boarding trains. They learn so fast, but if you teach them the wrong thing, they learn the wrong thing fast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's why I'm trying to be super careful with Nacho. And I'm not working him as much as I should, but he's so far the best dog I've had for when it comes to obedience and sports and stuff. But even now, he's the last session that we had, he was just going crazy. So with him, I'm not doing all the crazy stuff that I was doing with Leela. I definitely need to put a lot of more obedience on him. But there's definitely a huge difference as far as how much pressure each dog can take. Leela, when I used to correct her, she would shut down completely. Nacho, he'll take the correction and he may yelp or scream for whatever reason. Even if I barely,
he said for whatever reason.
if I barely, like for example, so when he was a puppy,
No, wait up. Take this. You're gonna take that one off.
Right. So let me elaborate. So when he was a puppy, just taking him to the vet, just them putting the thermometer in his butt, he screamed bloody murder.
Bro, I screamed bloody murder too.
Right. But like Leela, like you could do whatever to Leela and she's not gonna scream. She's not gonna yelp. She's not gonna scream. Yeah. Like the pain tolerance is completely different.
Way different, huh?
But the social pressure aspect of it.
Exactly. So if I yell at her, she'll shut down. Mm-hmm. Nacho is just like, whatever, you know what I mean? Or I'll give him a correction with the prong collar, or I'll hit him with the e-collar. And he's like, okay, let's keep going, right? So that right there is probably
he forgives a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't take things personal. He's not as emotional as Leela is.
Yeah.
So I can give him a correction and not worry that the bite's gonna suffer or the obedience is gonna suffer. He goes right back into it. Okay, let's keep going, and he learns from his mistakes quickly.
Yeah. Yep.
That's probably some of the biggest differences that I see between the two dogs.
Got it.
I think, because I know I'm going to drag this question out, but I think another big problem is that people see that the bulldogs can do the work and they want to put the pressure on them. And I think it's a lot of people with pit bulls they're not geared more towards sports, they're geared more towards personal protection, which I think they raise and develop the dogs a little bit different than I would like to see it. I see them putting pressure on the dogs at a young age, teaching them civil when we know that pit bulls thrive in those areas. Mm-hmm. So instead of putting them in a suit too early or trying to like teach the dog civil too early, you should be doing things where maybe you have a bite pillow or a bite wedge and you can do like protection skills without a decoy. So I can hold the wedge. You can maybe have the dog sit. You can target them on me and then send them to a wedge. And it doesn't have to be the agitation behind it because that's just going to build up frustration. They don't think well when they're frustrated. So I think developing the dog different and then doing step by step. And it takes longer, but in the end, you have a structured dog. The training and the control is going to look a lot better. Are you
talking about for sport or for personal protection?
I think personal protection people have a misconcept on how to build.
Got it.
A good dog in general, because I don't think it matters for sport or protection. I think that's the way it should be done. Another thing is I think a lot of people don't understand that bite work is the highest form of obedience. I don't see bite work as one thing that you're going to teach the dog. I think obedience, like I said, it's the highest level of obedience because look, if you have a dog that you say like you want him to bite, right? And he can bite and the only thing he can bite do is bite, and then you have to maybe choke the dog off. Versus a dog you can send, I can out you can guard, you can transport. You have to think. You're at the highest level of obedience there's out there. You're at the highest level of stimulation and control with the dog. And I think when people start to understand that obedience is connected to protection, in the way you teach the dog to grip, the dog to move, the dog to walk while he's on the bite, those are all taught behaviors. It's not just building frustration and giving a dog a bite. It's teaching the dog how to move on the bite, getting the dog in the right state of mind when he's biting. It's so much more than just bite work. It's like I said, it's the highest level of obedience I believe you can get.
Yeah. I do feel like a lot. I mean, people listening, they're going to be like, well, if I just want my dog to be a protection dog, why do I need to teach him all these things? And you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a dog that, that doesn't focus, heel, doesn't do all that, but can turn on and bite somebody, but there's levels to the game, right? Like if we go, yeah, but I don't want just that. I want that. I could turn this dog on. I could turn him off right away. I could heel away. I could send him. I could call him off. I could do all that stuff. And that's a complete different dog. So again, there's like standards to it, because some people hear personal protection dog and they automatically feel like, well, why does my dog need to know all that stuff if he's just a personal protection dog? Hey, it's just a more skilled dog, almost like a fighter would be. Yeah, you could have somebody who's a good fighter and, he's a good boxer, but then you could have somebody who's a good fighter. He could do grappling. He could do, all that stuff. And you have a complete different dog. You know what I'm saying? So, because I know people are going to say, well, why does my dog need to learn how to be okay with the helper and this and that? Like, well, I'm not even going to, you know what I mean? We always hear, why do I let my dog get corrected by the helper and this and that? And again, there's a place and time for all that. His dog is, I feel like, could easily, or any of our dogs could easily be turned on to like bite somebody without equipment and somebody with equipment, and but that's what he was saying. It's just like you could do so much more with the dog than just teach him how to get bites. And I do feel like with Leela, I could see that she was sensitive, so I was like, man, like put obedience on her in a way so that you don't have to add all that pressure. Yep. Because I know that if you don't and you build her up, because I always tell people, power without control to me is not impressive. I don't give two shits what your dog is doing without control. But let me see how he is after you put control, because control actually, there's some pressure to it. If he wants to go do something really bad, but you're not allowing him, there's some pressure there. Does your dog have control and power? And then you could put it together. And with Leela, I would see that how she would shut down a little bit. So I was like, dude, just build her up, get her obedience. You learn how to work her in a way where you don't have to add all that pressure. Or if we are going to add some pressure, let's not pair it with bite work, because I don't want that bleeding into the bite work. So let's just put the obedience on her and then start treating bite work as like a reward for the good obedience, but she already knows it really good, and I feel like a lot of people don't do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. And right now, ever since we really started doing that, I feel like she understands that the correction isn't personal anymore, because now I'm able to correct her and she's still in the game. Like she's not completely shutting down anymore, and she's a little more clear-headed because of it. Yeah. And once she's done with her board and train, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's methodical pressure too, you guys. Like, it's not fucking my dog's pissing me off because I never taught him this and I'm gonna fucking correct him. You see that in the dog don't lie. You watch people trial and you see their dog fucking heeling like this, their head down, they're all fucking funky. They didn't use methodical pressure. Right? There's levels to it for sure.
And I actually prefer a dog that's a little bit handler sensitive and takes things personal. Because then you don't have to put pressure. If you're a heavy-headed person, you're going to have to learn how to deal with that dog and correct that dog.
That's what the bulldog will teach you, bro.
And a correction could be eating food. A correction can be the spin, making the dog spin. And he's like, dang, now I have to do another command. I have to spin, and I don't get the reward.
We're going into a different hole right now. I mean, I hear that. I hear that, and I'm like, I want to go into it, but that's a whole different podcast, which I hope I could get Kelly Conlo in here at some point, so she could, dive deeper into that.
It's like you see that meme that was flowing around where it's like, it's like I train personal protection. The other person's like, I don't like doing obedience either.
Yeah, that's basically, I mean, that's what it sounded like in the beginning, but I think that a lot of people are catching on to it where they're like, nah, like they kind of see the difference.
It's skill set, bro.
Yeah.
These dogs are born 8-10 weeks biting. That shit's not impressive anymore.
Yeah.
They're born doing that shit. How can you
Yep.
harness it? All right, so here's a pretty good vague question. What would you start first on? Let's do a pet puppy and a working puppy. What would be like your first foundational things you do?
A working puppy,
So give me working puppy, pet puppy.
depending on the temperament, because you have a softer dog versus a harder dog. If it was my ideal dog, it would be somewhere in the middle. And me personally, I'm going to do a lot of luring, just to shape the behaviors that I want. And I don't even like to name. I just go over luring, and I kind of do the same thing over and over and over.
Let me make the question a little harder because that could be real vague. What are some things y'all used to do or y'all thought was great to do while they were puppies that now you may not do that with your current puppy?
Too much bite work.
Okay.
Adding in accessories to bite work and not doing it properly.
Okay.
And adding in pressure on young dogs that aren't ready. It is not if they aren't ready. Adding too much pressure on young dogs in general, like the cans, the noise, the stimulation. It looks really cool at a young age, but I find that when the dogs are older, it's too much pressure that was put on them, which caused the leaking and the uncomfortableness. Like, it's just a lot of conflict going on in the bite for a working dog. So that's one thing that I've noticed that I stopped doing. And I will only allow someone who knows what they're doing to condition that into a young dog.
Right. What about you, Oscar?
Again, it depends on the dog. If it's a Corso and it's a new puppy, I'm gonna have to live with this dog. So I separate. I go, I'm gonna correct you when you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, and I'm gonna make sure I let you know. Because some people are like, don't correct the dog, build the drive,
Especially a
do
puppy.
that. Yeah, especially a puppy. But for example, I had a puppy and he got possessive over something, and he literally went after another dog at a young age, and I was able to grab him and I snatched him and I corrected him one time. That was it. After that, he did not do that again. So I tend to I want to make sure that I structure things outside of the working world the way that I'm going to want them. Walking out the gate, I'm going to have a leash on you. I'm going to tell you to wait. Even though I know you don't know what this means, I'm going to make you wait until I allow you to go out and, out of the gate. Like little things that I'm going to put in place so that you can understand that I'm your guy. You're going to eat through with me. You're going to, but you got to make sure you listen to everything. Everything's on my terms in the beginning.
Right.
In the working world, there's going to be cues in place so that when I take him out of the van, it's going to be, I'm going to amp you up. We're going to be, and I want to build him up. I want to make sure that he's confident in everything, teach him the basics of how to take food, being able to move around a certain way, especially Corsos, because they're so big that you got to teach them rear end awareness and all that stuff. But same thing with the Malinois. I'm going to do a lot of luring and a lot of positions and all that stuff. But I do separate, and I make sure that it's very black and white of hey, right now we're working, and you could be a little crazy. Right now you're gonna chill out. You're gonna listen to whatever I have to say, and I don't use the same commands that I'm gonna use in one place that I'm gonna use in the other. Yep. So that's right off the get go with the puppy. That's how I started. And
more structure.
Way more structure. Yeah, I do structure because again, they're at an age where they don't have all the bad habits. So if you could just start doing the right things from the beginning, you're gonna have an easier time. But if you're creating bad habits already from the get go, then it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of how I separate it. As far as one thing that I do, I don't have a one thing that I do, but I do separate the two.
That's one thing I would say, for both working and pet, is teach, kind of like he's saying, you separate it, but teaching stability before building drive, teaching the pet quality, just learn how to stay, learn how to chill out, teaching that before capitalizing on building drive towards anything. Because later on it teaches the dog to be stable and have the off switch first, and then later you can open up.
And I learned that from his name's Mike Deal. He's at the World Championship right now. And I remember going out to his field and seeing a bunch of puppies just staked out on chains, and I was like, why is he doing that? You don't think they're gonna get tired? See,
You're gonna kill drive.
Yeah, you're gonna kill drive. And he's like, no, I want them to learn that right now is not their time to be active. Right now, even though they see all this going on out here, I want them to relax. And it's something that I've done with pretty much, you know, a lot of my dogs now. It's like I just teach them, hey, you know, you're going to be out there on your own. You're going to relax while I do all this stuff. And I feel like I've told you to do some of that, and I think I told Royal to do some of that. Like, hey, bring the dog out, don't do anything.
I didn't listen.
And
I listened a little bit.
and so, but yeah, I learned that from Mike Deal. And to me, in the beginning, it was like that don't make no sense. But then I was like, yeah, it makes complete sense because then they're gonna learn when it's their time, they can be active, and when it's not their time, they can't be active.
Yeah. So what would you say to everybody who's going to say, but that's going to kill the drive in the puppy?
If that kills your puppy's drive, it was probably not bred to do the work that you wanted to work. Now, it could kill some drive, but if you are not able to bring it back out, and then something, I mean, that drive was never there. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care if a dog just learns to lay down when he's out there, and then he gets the man in front of him and freaking agitating him, and that doesn't bring him out. I don't know what is.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
You know?
Something that I've changed is shorter sessions for these younger dogs. Sometimes you're having too much fun, or you want to bring the most out of your dog. And my misconception was I need to keep doing it until it's perfect, instead of being happy with some solid reps and then playing with my dog. I just wanted to keep doing it until it was good. But then the dog hates it, right? And the dog doesn't enjoy the training. Yep. And then another thing that I changed as well is not being, instead of once the dog does it, then I move on to the next thing instead of solidifying it or proving the behavior.
Yep.
And that's one of the biggest mistakes I made with Lila.
Blue chair.
I was happy because I wanted to be like everybody else so bad that once she did it, and I was like, all right, let's move on to the next cool thing. And then when I went back to that original thing, it wasn't there anymore. So proofing these behaviors and then shorter sessions for these younger dogs.
Yep. I think the shorter session is a big one. I mean, I got to a point with Slim when he was a youngster, 10, 12, 13, 14 months, where we'd have fucking 30-second sessions. It'd be 30 seconds. Yep. He does, a couple things right, boom, and I jackpot him and I pay him the whole shit. Yep. It's a 30-second.
I'm doing that right now with Moses.
But it's a hard concept for people to understand, even for me. But you guys got to remember, when it comes to young dogs and puppies, less is more. It's always going to fucking be more. Okay, so I got obsessed with all the shit with Slim, and I feel like I didn't kill his drive, but I killed his want to do obedience with me because I try to drill so much shit in so constantly. I was like,
they go into avoidance sometimes.
And then he got to a point where he's like, man, I don't fucking even feel like doing that. I don't care about the food. I don't feel like doing this anymore. And that was my fault. I got excited. I had a working dog, and I'm working, but they're still puppies.
Yeah, that happens a lot to people. They have that one dog and they just overwork them. It's like, go get a second dog, bro. Like, if you enjoy training that much, go get a second dog. And I've told clients that all the time. Like,
that's funny.
Like, what do you think I should do? Go get another dog because you're messing this one up, And so and I mean, I think that's why I've always had puppies and stuff like that, because I want 2 or 3 dogs because I enjoy training so much that I always want 2 or 3 puppies right there. Yeah, where I'm learning. So last one.
All right, let's get one more on there. How do you know, or when do you know you're ready to train other people's dogs?
You don't. I mean, I feel like I didn't feel like I was ready, but people started asking me for advice, and I would just get my hands on dogs and I would make a difference, and that was pretty much it. But there wasn't like again, it was different times because what do you say? You're an old timer. What do you call me?
Back in the day.
Back in the day, bro. 2009, 2013.
Black and white movies, right?
10 years. So 10 years ago, we didn't have the social media that we have today. But yeah, like, I mean, I had friends and people would know about you from the forums and from Facebook and stuff like that, and they'd hit you up and you get with people, and when you're is it charging people or just training other people?
Training other people.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, you could if I was new and I was starting again and I have the the passion, I would go and just get my hands on dogs. If my neighbor has a dog, I'll be like, hey, can I borrow your dog? Because I'm learning how to train dogs, and that's basically one of your teachers right there, you know? And so I would do a lot of that until you feel like you're very comfortable handling dogs. Yep. Even now I see trainers now that they learn most of their stuff on TikTok and Instagram and all that. They're afraid of dogs.
Yep.
Like they've never put their hands on dogs that they're afraid of them. And Royal knows who I'm talking
They
about.
got all these letters behind their names. Though.
Yeah, bro. Not, even if they didn't, but it's like, bro, I know how. Like I've done this and this with a couple dogs, but then you're like, you see them, you're like, yo, bro, you're afraid of that dog, bro. Like, oh, man. I mean, I'm not, bro. I'm not even gonna get into specifics right now, but there's some things that I'm like, what did you do? And it's like, oh, I did this because I thought this, and I'm just like, bro,
theory is never gonna beat experience.
Nope.
It's never gonna beat it. No, you could know the knowledge behind it, but if you don't know the way the dog moves, the way the dog, you gotta
be able to read
the
it.
sounds, like you should be able to see that and anticipate, like, oh, this is what could happen here. Let me change this, and that's only gonna happen with experience and you putting your hands on dogs and you messing up and making some mistakes. But you could learn from others. You know what I'm saying? You could ask questions, especially if you have a group around you that you can ask questions to. They could help you out, But definitely go get your neighbor's dog, put your hands on them, train them up, and do something amazing for the family, for that dog, and for yourself, because you're going to learn.
I'd say for me, I started training dogs for free. I was like, because you don't know when you're ready. Like, my dog was nice, and I was like, yeah, but he's one dog. Like, the other dogs are different. So I started training dogs for free, and that took a lot of pressure off of me, right? Because at least you're not, if I'm doing shit training, you're not paying for it. And nothing was ever overly physical. If anything, I was more on, like, the force-free side when I first started. But yeah, so train the dogs for free. That'll help alleviate a little bit of pressure. Get a dog. You put all your heart into your dog's your resume, y'all. All right, get a dog, that'll help, and then volunteer at a shelter. Those are the dogs you're going to be training. People tell me, well, you train all these purebreds. I'm like, where? All my fucking clients, the dogs have been adopted, rescued, whatever the case may be.
Even his personal dog is a mutt.
Even Zeus, I rescued him, right? So if you could get your hands on shelter dogs, you're already going to be a step above the game because you've already been dealing with the types of dogs that people are going to then bring you, right? Yep. So I'd say that's a big one with me. What about you, Chris? When did you start?
I started with I was actually raising my own dogs because I was just interested in learning how to train, and then when I would see they couldn't get to a certain level or weren't for me, I would see like genetic problems. I would sell them. And then I would post it on YouTube, and then people would start to message me like, hey, can you train my dog? And I would connect with them, and then I started doing boarding trains and just jumped into it. And then that led me into rescue dogs, where we were getting like some of the worst dogs because for some reason they don't want to rescue the decent dogs. They want to rescue the high level biters. So we were just like, me and my buddy Yasin would just get some rescue dogs, and we would just learn as we went as far as aggression. And that's where, like you were saying earlier, like you can't be afraid of these dogs. And like, I'm sure you'll start off with some fear, but getting your hands on those type of dogs and knowing like if I'm not careful, this dog can snatch me up. That's what makes you that's what will push you forward a little bit and make you a little bit more confident in handling those dogs.
For sure.
Yeah.
And be real with yourselves too, all right?
Yeah.
If shit like that makes you jumpy, you don't have to train dogs like that. Like, it's not like, all right, you're a dog trainer, you have to take every single behavioral kit. No, fuck no. If you're unsure and you're like, you know what, I don't think dogs who have bite histories is my niche, don't train dogs with bite histories.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other dogs out there without it. So just keep it real with yourself with how much you think you can handle with the dog.
Right.
And be safe.
Oh, big time. Be
Muzzle,
safe. Muzzle,
bite
all
suit,
that shit.
sleeve, whatever you need.
Leashes.
Yeah, bite sleeves are huge. Huge.
I actually never used them.
No, bro. I had a dog tag me up in a bite sleeve. Like, I was like, he
Yeah,
ain't gonna bite, bro. He fucking bit and then grip like this, bro. Like re-gripping. I was like, oh, he's fucking.
Yeah, in the beginning I didn't have
He's a little crazy.
any of that stuff, and I was just
Towels and
sticking
duct
their
tape.
arms out.
Towels and duct tape.
Yeah.
Defensive
It was
handling.
wild. It was wild.
Yeah.
I would say just if someone asks you to train their dog, do it, and you'll know quick whether it's something you want to do or not.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey guys, thank you guys for watching. Thanks Shane, thanks Chris, thanks Ro for being here, and we'll see you guys on. Actually, go, bro. What can people follow you?
on Instagram at Chris_psycho_Sykes.
Yep. If y'all follow him, maybe he'll start posting more. So. Drop some more knowledge for us. Shane W. Murray on Instagram, TikTok, and my website as well. Same
Shit,
link.
I knew you were gonna drop that website, dog. ShaneMurray.com.
This one. Yep.
Dope, bro.
ECA_Roel_G on Instagram.
You can follow me at Oscar Mora Canines.
Yeah.
And on YouTube. What is it on YouTube?
Oscar
Same
Mora
thing,
Canines,
Oscar
yeah.
Mora Canines. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you
Yes,
guys for
sir.
sticking around. Remember, subscribe, comment, share, like, all that good stuff.
Right.
Peace out.
Later.
Let's get it. This that go and get it. With no hesitation. This that never quit. Start that elevation. This that process.